I'm just waiting for the green light to come on, and it finally came on. Welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. We're having a great time. I really do wish that there was some way we could start the show about 30 minutes prior and put what do you call it, a disclaimer before that, only enter at your own risk. In other words, to listen to the first 30 minutes, because we have such a fantastic pre-show that you just wouldn't believe it. We're all sitting here rolling and having a good time. But welcome to the show. We have Tony Rouleau on tonight, and I got his name right because I asked him a couple of times to make sure that was right. And so anyway, what is Russ Meadows shaking your head wrong for? Did I already mess up? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we're going to have a good time tonight. Tony's going to show us, he makes some of these fantastic like block planes and squares and stuff out of metal. And they're like really, really cool. So he's going to talk to us about how he makes them. And he can't, which I'll let him tell about that, but he can't do the machine part of it, but he can show us the assembly and everything. We'll talk about those tonight. So thank you very much for all of you who are out there already watching. And I had like 8 or 9 thumbs up before the show even started. That's fantastic. But don't stop there. If you're over there in the chat, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it very much. And let me know that you like the show. Before we get started, and a couple of things. Let's talk about my wonderful sponsors first. And they are Devobal Technologies for web design, development, and hosting. Visit devobal.com. FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Rockler, 60 years in woodworking. Create with confidence. Visit rockler.com. Bearwood Supply Company, your best choice for hard-to-find woodworking supplies. Visit bearwood.com. Klingspor, the sanding specialist. Visit woodworkingshop.com, and Seiko, the scroll saw specialist, Seiko.com. So now we're supposed to give Ken Moon's bowl away tonight on the show, and he's not here. He decided to go see his girlfriend in Gatlinburg. So I think we're still going to give it away. I'll just tell him who to mail it to. We're going to probably do that live on the air. And then the other thing was the person that won, who was in the is one of the newsletter people that I picked out, was James Caden from New Mexico. I already sent him the Rockler bench cookie plus woodworking or wood gripper master kit. So he's getting that. So that's already been sent to him. James Caden over in New Mexico. He was last week's winner of the giveaway, the tool giveaway. So really great. The only other thing that I've got to say is if you want my mailing address, my real mailing address, PM me or email me at russ@simplywoodencreations.com, because the mailing address that I have posted in various places is not my real mailing address. The reason being is I don't like giving out my real mailing address. No, Paul found out that the hard way. He saw the address, and it's like 1234 Highway 60 East or something. That's not a real address. So the package got returned to him. And there's somebody else that sent me something one time to that address, and they said, "Hey, I sent it and it got returned." Yes, that's not my real address. That 1234 or whatever Highway 60 East that you're seeing, or whatever that is, that's, if you want my real address, email me or PM me over on Facebook. You can email me at russ@simplywoodencreations.com. But anyway, so it got here. Paul made me a little something. He said he even put on their correct address this time. So, and what he made me was, it's a cool, he 3D printed me a gauge for the scroll saw that shows the different angles. They're like 15, what are they, Paul? 15, 30, 45 or something like that.
Yeah, they're 15, 30, and 45.
Yeah, 0, 15, 30, and 45. Pretty cool. Little gauge for the scroll saw. So thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate that. And it sits on the table, and you can adjust the blade on there. That's pretty doggone cool. So thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. So that and that's out of the way. We got that. The only other thing, let's go ahead and let everybody tell us where we can find you, and then we'll get to Tony. Tony, you're going to be the last one because you're the guest. So we'll start off with Brenda.
Hello, everybody. This is Brenda G of Brenda G's Designs. You'll find me on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Patreon, and Etsy at Brenda G's Designs.
Great. Next is Chris.
Hey guys, Chris here at the Old Cranky Workshop. You'll find me on Facebook and YouTube. That's about it. I can't manage and juggle all those other options. So some videos are coming out. We're shooting today. You only discover all my batteries were dead. Funny how you need batteries to shoot a video. So I fired the camera guy. He's looking for new work. But we'll be up and running soon. So thanks for having me, Russ.
Well, I was going to say, if you fire the camera guy, does that mean you're not going to be able to do the video anymore?
Well, I'm the talent. Yeah, they can't fire the talent.
Oh, okay. And then Mr. Jim Bashirs.
Hey, I'm Jim Bashirs from Driveway Workshop, and I can't wait to just dump a bunch of questions on Tony. I'm squealing like a little girl waiting to get to him.
Yeah, I was kind of excited when I messaged him and he said, yeah, he'd love to be on the show. I was like, wow, really? Because I know I've seen some of the tools he makes and they're pretty awesome. So Katie,
Yeah,
Katie, wake up.
I am so awake. My name is Katie Dodson. I'm just on Facebook, and that's pretty much where you'll find me, pestering other people.
Cool. One question. Have you ever got that table glass piece on top of the table yet?
No. I still trying to work out. I got to. If I ever put the tabletop on there, then the rest of it, then it'll never get painted. And I want to paint it. And I've got so many irons in the fire right now. You know, like today I spent cleaning up after the tree thing. I posted that this afternoon.
Right.
And you know, and I'm out in the yard. I'm out in the pasture. The dogs are up to something. You know, it's you know, I'm like a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest.
Okay. And next is Mr. John Schaffner.
Good evening, everybody. You can find me on Facebook, and I do have a little bit of a YouTube presence, not much, but that's about it. Thanks, Russ, for having me on again. This should be a really good time.
Yep. You're welcome. Al.
Hello, folks. Al Forte, Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop on YouTube, Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop on Facebook, Kilroy79763 on Twitch. In fact, if you look for Kilroy79763, you'll find me all over the place. Anyway, great to be here, Russ.
Cool. Thank you for coming. Mr. Paul.
Hey, I'm Paul Corliss from Paul's Messy Workshop. Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube and Instagram and .com. So are you telling me, Russ, when I stop in for a surprise visit, I shouldn't use that address that's on your website?
You won't find the house, that's for damn sure.
But Highway 60 goes through Mulberry, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yes.
Yeah, I thought it did. That's why I didn't think anything of the address.
Oh, no, it goes through 60 goes through. Matter of fact, I'm within a quarter of a mile or less than a quarter of a mile, probably a eighth of a mile from the main road, Highway 60, so to speak. But
well,
you have to you have to get off of 60 onto a couple of other roads to come to me. So,
well, now I know. So,
yep.
Before one.
Somebody else sent me a package like that one day, and I was like, I'm sorry, I just don't post my main address out there. I thought about getting a P.O. box. I know Sterling Davis did that. But, my damn luck, I'd forget I had a P.O. box and not check the mail, and they'd be sending me a thing, come get your dang mail because it's full. We can't even put mail in here. So, yeah, I just don't post my real street address. So
probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Your fans don't know how to find you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have some woman coming up wanting to know who. my wife would be wanting to know who she was, and I'd be in big trouble.
No.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on, Russ.
You're welcome. Russ.
Hi guys, Russ Meadows from Rusty Nails Wood Shop on Facebook and Instagram, and maybe just a pinch of YouTube. And now that I know that he puts a fake address out, I think I'm gonna try that. I don't want them ladies come looking for me either. We both have the same name, you know.
Yeah, they might mistake you for me or me for you. So
yeah.
Russ, you could put up the exact same address that Clarity's using, and
I think I'm good at it.
Yeah. Yep, you could. No, I thought about that a long time ago, and I was like, I'm just gonna put that fake address up there. And like I said, Paul's not the first one. Somebody else. I know that there was actually 3 people. Mom, Kelly, she sent something to me, and it got returned to her, and she ended up having to resend it. And there was somebody else too that did that also. So I just figured I better not. Well, I know I'm not going to reach everybody on the show, but I did better post that out there that, hey, that's not my real address. So anyway, let's get on to it. Tony, how are you?
I'm doing good. Tony Rouleau from Hillview Wood Metal, Hillview Wood Metal on Facebook, and Hillview_WM on Instagram.
Cool. So you make these fantastic tools. So I would assume that and I think you are a machinist normally, right?
Thank you. Thank you very much. My day job is a machinist.
Cool.
I work for a small job shop company that builds custom equipment and kind of anything from aerospace parts to if a guy's baler breaks in the field, he brings us apart and we remake it. So. Okay, cool. So that's what got you into having your own little machine shop at home, so to speak? Yeah, I started scrolling when I was 13. Yeah, I was 13. It was one of the first tools they taught us in shop class. And time out. You started scrolling when you were 13 years old? Yes. Yep. Wow. Yeah, that was my first power tool. My father bought me a scroll saw for Christmas that year. That's fantastic, man. My first daughter was born in 1979 or 80, or no, 79. So in 79 or 80, I was going through Sears. I tell everybody this story. So in 1979 or 80, I saw my first scroll saw and actually purchased it. So how old were you in 1979 or 80? I was 2 or 3. Okay. So I still beat you the scroll saw. Okay. But no, that's fantastic. So did you love the scroll saw? Yeah, I did a lot of, because it was relatively quiet, safe tool to use. My father felt confident leaving me alone with it. I did a lot of just basic fretwork, and then I got in a little bit into making like wooden toys, just because they didn't require a ton of wood. You didn't need 40 board feet of wood to make a truck or something. So I tinkered a lot with that. And then as I got older, I took more shop classes. I was more involved with my father, and I started to learn the table saw and the other more complicated woodworking. So I've done woodworking all along. And then out of high school, I went to trade school to be a machinist, and they just kind of melded together. Yes, I can see that. I can see that very much so. So what made you decide to, so you have how many machines, and what type of machines do you have at home? Well, I have a pretty full wood shop, the basic large equipment, table saw, planer, joiner, bandsaw, sanders, a couple wood lathes. And then I had a small milling machine and a decent metal lathe on my the metalworking end of my shop. But the machine shop I work at, the owner of the company is very lenient. He lets us use the equipment after hours, which is usually unheard of in a machine shop, because the equipment, you know, the machines I use are $250,000 machines. If you screw up, you can really damage those machines.
Right.
So, but in his forward thinking, I guess, the more experienced you are with the machines, the faster you are. And I started making branding irons. That was the first tool that I did. And I actually made connections with people, and they ended up having work pushed through our shop. So that it helped him out in the long run. You know, he ended up getting work from it, but I started making the planes and the squares, and there's only so much time I can devote. I have a family at home, you know, there's only so much time I can spend and so much time I want to be at the machine shop. I don't want to be there every night until 9 o'clock at night. So I started saving, and I just bought this January, I bought a full-size milling machine, a manual milling machine. They call them a Bridgeport. That's a brand name, but basically if anybody walks up to the machine, they call it a Bridgeport. And then recently, within the past month and a half, I bought a full CNC milling machine, and now I'm pretty much able to do about 90% of my work here. So
wow, that's awesome.
And it's all crammed in my cellar.
Yeah, no, but that is awesome. I've always been fascinated about you know, milling and work or machine work like you're doing, because it, like you said, it goes hand in hand with woodworking. I mean, you can make dovetails with a milling machine. You can make the difference between those machines. Well, with the CNC now, they're pretty intricate both ways for the wood CNC and the milling CNC. But my point is the difference between the woodworking and the milling is that the milling is really, really, really precise.
Yeah, and especially with especially with the CNCs, it's a different way that you look at how you make a part with a wood CNC and a metal CNC. It's apples and oranges.
Right. Cool.
And if I start to put you to sleep with machinist lingo, just tell me.
No, you won't. Trust me. I'm very, very interested because, like I said, I've always been. I've made my own lathe tools, but I didn't have a milling machine, and I wished I had a small milling machine, you know, to do the ends for the carbide tips on them. Mm-hmm. That would have made it so much easier than using a hacksaw and a grinder, you know, to make those things out of it. So, but they turned out pretty well, and I'm happy with them. So. You said something about, did anybody have any questions out there for Tony that's on the, I know Jim Bashir's is chomping at the bits to get on there. So,
you're on the panel or out in the,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Jim. Go ahead and ask.
Well, Tony, one of the things I wanted to ask is when you guys got that CNC for your house, did you have to reinforce your floor and everything for it? And level it and all that stuff?
The Bridgeport was the bear. The Bridgeport weighs about 2,500 pounds. The CNC is about the size of a small mill drill. I'm not. You probably would know what that size is. It's right. It's the next size down from the smallest Bridgeport. So that weighs 1,200 pounds. The Bridgeport was the bear because it's top heavy, and you know, I have a walk-in basement, thank God, with 2 steel double doors. So we were able to get it on the concrete, but it was just to get it in and on the floor it was February. It was about 10 degrees, and it was about a 30-mile-an-hour wind coming across the field. So it was pretty brutal.
Jeez.
Now, did you have to, you said it's in your basement?
Yeah.
So you had to come downstairs with that big
my house is built into a side hill, so I have an entryway that opens up. So that kind of, because when I built my house, I was big into dirt bikes, and I used to carry my dirt bike down a set of Bilco doors downstairs when I was living with my parents a long, long time ago. And I swore to myself that I would never do that again. So I built my house so I have an entryway. So bringing plywood and all that stuff in is fairly easy.
Right. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes, because I've seen some of these people transverse downstairs into a basement with some of these woodworking tools, like a heavy duty joiner, and those things ain't light.
No, not at all.
So
I've heard stories where guys will actually cut holes in the floor and lower like milling machines and stuff down. You know, pull the carpet up, cut a hole in the floor, drop the milling machine, put the floor back on and cover it up and hope the wife doesn't see it.
Send her away on a cruise with her sister.
Yeah.
That's dedication, though. Right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that would be. Just real quick, let me go out here. TJ's Woodworking Shop. He goes, Simply Wooden Creations. Hey, how are you, sir? I'm doing great, TJ. Thank you for watching. Dickinson Hoffman's out there. I saw Steve Carmichael. He's out there. Kivera. Okay. That's I think he's new to our Saturday show. So Becky's Texas Wood Shop is out there in the chat. And guess what? I can't find my mouse. Oh, there it is. For some reason, my mouse went to sleep and I couldn't find the pointer. Steve Carmichael. Yep, he's out there. Hi. Steve, Mitch Deltrick. Ken Moon from Moon Pies Creations. He says, tell Russ to let me know who I need to get the bowl to. I'll give it away, Ken. Don't worry about it. I'll give it away and I'll get with you. James Parker. Those are just a few people of the 39 people out there in the chat. So thank you very much for being out there. So anybody else on the panel got any questions for him?
I just got a statement. I think we found the perfect fella to make your grill parts instead of worrying about waiting for them.
Yeah, but the problem
What's his name right there, Tony?
The problem of it being is even if I sent the specs to him and he started making them, he wouldn't get them here in time for the weekend.
You know, he might pull an all-nighter.
Yeah, you have to pull an all-nighter and then overnight it, and they don't. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. FedEx sucks. If FedEx is up there with Lowe's, they're the two worst companies that ever were on the planet, if you ask me. Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, I ordered some stuff. And when I say that about FedEx, just real quick, sorry, Tony. This is not the first run in, not the second run in, not the third run in, not the fourth run in, not the fifth run in, but probably about the sixth or seventh problem that I've had with FedEx. So it's like my son, when he was living here, had a package. He ordered some stuff from a company and was supposed to come here. It didn't come. He had to call the company. They sent another one. It didn't come. It wasn't until after the third one didn't arrive that they started an investigation. We actually had like a mail, I don't know what you call them. Anyway, somebody from FedEx and their investigation fraud bureau come out and talk to us, and they're like, we're sending them, they're sending them, and you're not getting them out. They ended up finding out there's a guy up the street that sells mechanics tools that gets deliveries almost on a daily basis. And the FedEx driver just seen Ramblewood North and put every package that was on that street in with all of his tools and delivered them to him. So I'm not the only person on the street that he was getting all of our packages. And it wasn't until like a month or so later that they even figured out that that's what was going on. So just, I've had it with FedEx. I can't stand those guys. So anyway, let's get on.
Do you happen to see Chris Nealon's comment in the chat?
Yeah.
No. What? We were saying what?
Stop giving FedEx the wrong address.
The fake address.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fake.
Yeah, no, I didn't see that out there. So anyway, back to Tony. We'll get off on my rant about FedEx. You said you had when I talked to you earlier, said that you could show us some of the tools and your how you assemble them. Or
sure, yeah. I'll guess I'll start with showing you the different squares that I make.
Sure.
Tony, what got you started doing planes, and what made you think, hey, I should start making planes on the side for my side hustle?
Well, what I was on John Berard's podcast, Makercast.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
And he did a giveaway, and he messaged me and says, all the people that have been on my podcast, I'm going to ask them to make something or donate something for this giveaway. And he starts naming off Mark Spagnolo and Jimmy DiResta and all these names. And I'm like, nobody knows who I am. So I'm like, I got to do something big. And I'd always wanted to try to make a plane or a real nice tool. And that's what kind of sparked it. And from there, I went ahead and I made it. It came out right around the time of Woodworking in America, the last one that was in Covington, Kentucky. And I just put a message out there and just in like the groups. And I had, I think 12 or 15 guys that were interested. I made a batch of those. And then Jay Bates bought one. And Jay got it on a Friday. And I didn't hear anything Saturday. I didn't hear anything Sunday. And I'm like, did he get it? Does he hate it? Is there something wrong with it? So I messaged him. And he said, oh, yeah, I've got it. I'm going to do an unboxing video. And Joel Crawford talked to me and he said, you need to put some pre-orders up on Etsy because if he's going to do a video, this thing might take off. He did the unboxing video on Monday. He released it like at 6 o'clock at night. And by 9 o'clock that night, I was sold out for, I'm still working on the pre-orders from that video from last year. So that's what's kind of propelled me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you first started to deliver them, was that in Atlanta a couple of years ago when we were at Joel's place?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the first time anybody really saw
2 Atlantas ago. That's when I started to deliver, you know.
Yeah, I remember we were all passing it around like it was, you know, some kind of an orb or something, you know. Everybody just wanted to touch it.
Ransacked me and kissed me and groped me and
yeah, so I see where you get all your money to buy all your new big milling machines.
Yes. So that's what I've done is right now everything I make from the squares and the planes, they go right back in the business to hopefully, because I have ideas for other tools, but right now I'm so backed up. I'm just trying to get caught up and pay off what I've purchased. So
hey, having lots of orders is a good thing, trust me.
Yes, yes it is. Yep.
So
well, this is the 6-inch square. I don't know if you guys can see that okay. That's the brass with it's got a Coca-Cola wood inlay and with a Starrett 6-inch scale. I try to keep everything USA sourced. It's a selling point and it's a pride thing, you know. The Starrett seems to be, you know, one of the best measuring tool companies out there. So I try to use them. I will also use an American-made company called PEC. I use them a lot for if I send international for metric scales. They tend to have a little more selection of metric rulers for the squares. This is a blued steel, like a gun blued steel with a brass knob. It's got a walnut inlay. This is the 12-inch version. And I made this. This was I like the look of the old Remington, Winchester, Weatherby rifles. You know, the real ornate bolt action, blued, real nice walnut stock. I've always, even as a little kid, I always loved, to me, that was an art, you know, and that's what I try to replicate with this. I also sell one that has a blued knob and the logo is just blacked out, which I give people the choice, and it's about 50-50. Some like the flashy brass in theirs and some like the all blued.
Right.
I don't have a blade for this guy. This is the 4-inch. This is a small. This is a skeletonized. My logo is down here and it's all machined out. I also offer the same small square with a wood inlay. but it's kind of a different take on it. So, and I do brass and steel with this guy.
Now, earlier you said something about when you, I know you said your milling machine was manual, but is the CNC machine, that's not manual, right?
Well, that's computer controlled. That's what does a lot of the when I get into the plane, I can show you more of like and I'll show you how I go from raw material to a finished square.
Right. Okay. Then that'll answer that question later on. Okay, no problem.
And I've gotten some feedback on this. I needed to make it's like the saying, the cobbler's kids have no shoes. I'm always looking for a square, and I have like 12 on my workbench that I can't use. So I took one that didn't take the gun blue very well, and I buffed it, and it kind of gave it like a gunmetal color, and the logo stayed black.
Oh, that's nice. So,
and it has a nice look to it. So I think I'm going to start offering it in the
that's real nice.
My Etsy shop.
So, I like that. But I have to say the brass looks the best though to me.
The brass is. The steel kind of stemmed from some of the guys in the machine shop wanted a square, and you can't have a brass square in a machine shop. It's just going to get too beat up. Where the steel can take some abuse. You know, any of these, if you drop them on the floor, they're gonna, dent. But so that's where the steel came from. And if things go well, maybe I'll have a hardened one someday. I don't know yet, but right now I'm more towards geared towards woodworkers. So they don't need that, rock hard steel, and the brass, it feels nice in the hand, and it looks nice too. So
yeah, it's got that gold look to it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it ages nice too. It'll turn more of, instead of a bright yellow, it'll go more towards that patinaed gold.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the black plane. This is actually my personal one. I don't know if you can tell, if you can see the dovetailing in it.
Oh yeah.
There's the inlay in it. That's African blackwood. The knob also, the clamping knob has wood in it as well. And I make everything but the blade. The blade is right now is actually the Lee Nielsen blade. I am in the process of making my own blade. I just don't have the capabilities to heat treat, to harden things reliably. Could I heat treat a blade? Yeah, I could, but I can't do it as nice as Lee Nielsen. So I'm not going to sell someone a plane and then put a subpar blade in it. So right now I'm going through the process. I've been in contact with another custom plane maker, and he's given me a heat treat house where I can send all my blades once they're machined, have them hardened, sent back to me, and then I finish them and sharpen.
So that would be cheaper than buying the ones off the market, didn't it?
I don't know necessarily cheaper, but it's me.
Okay,
that's more the thing. It's the blade itself, I think, is $30 from Lee Nielsen, and the materials, when you figure out what a 3-inch chunk of, I use 01 tool steel. The steel in the plane and the is all 01 tool steel. It's not hardened, but it's more wear resistant. It'll last forever,
Right.
And then, the brass is just a standard, just free machining brass.
Right. Yeah, I understand what you're saying when you said that. You want the tool to be 100% Tony.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I don't hide the fact that it's Lee Nielsen. If anybody asks, I tell, because they make good stuff.
Yeah.
They make some of the best hand planes in the world. So that's why I went with them. But I would like to, soup to nuts, have it be me.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. Especially if, like you said, if you can find that place to be able to send the ones that you have out and have them hardened and then brought back. So,
and like I said, I think once you factor in hardening, the price point will just be comparable. It'll probably be a wash.
Has anybody been watching the panel? We had any questions out there from the panel?
The only one I've seen so far is what's the website address for Tony's website, and I just went out and pulled it off on another page, and I don't know if I can paste it without it getting mad.
Paste
the website address.
I chat and I'll post it out.
Yeah, let me give it a try first here. Nope, it kicked me back.
Just put it.
All right. Yeah, hang on.
I need to make you a.
There you go.
What is it? Hillview
Wood Metal or WM.com.
Hillviewwm.com. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Other than that, I think people are just mesmerized with watching Tony's stuff like I am.
Oh, I know. Trust me.
Those things are so cool.
I first saw not only the ones he did, but the woodworking. When he went to the woodworking show, I was like, "Whoa, man, dude, those are like awesome." So, well, keep going. I was just curious if anybody out there. I try to pay attention to the chat, but when I got somebody like you, it's hard to watch the chat and watch you. So go ahead.
So I guess I'll when I go to make a square body blank, I buy brass or steel, and it's just rough. You know, it has a mill finish on it. It does not. It almost looks green. So what I do is I cut that into a chunk, and it's a little thick. And this is a square blank, and you can see there's a lip on the bottom. What I do is I hold onto that lip in the vise, and then I can take a skim cut. I can go in, I can pocket out for the wood inlay. I pocket down in for the knob where the clamping knob goes, and I cut all the way around it. And that's the first process. Second op, I get rid of this lip, and then I go ahead and you get this. I put the other pocket in, and I round over that pocket. So it basically is just a symmetrical shape. The third step, I put a hole in it for the clamping screw to go through. That's how they stay. In fact, this is yours, Russ, right here.
Is it? Cool.
Yep. I leave this face blank, and I don't put the slot in because the scales, the rulers are different thicknesses. So I don't want to make 26-inch and 12-inch and then sell 46 inches. So I leave them blank, and when someone places an order, or if they want, I usually put my logo in, but for an upcharge, or I will add a custom logo to it so that this stays blank.
So mine's going to be the custom logo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So another thing that happens to this too, that I used to do by hand, and I found that it's easier with the CNC, is when you cut this, when it's in this state, it bends a little. It kind of looks like, it's microscopic, but it's still there. Because what I do is when I'm done machining everything, I sand everything dead flat. So it has a really nice surface finish on it, because you don't want a square with scratches or anything. So when you cut the other side, it bends again. The material is relieving itself. So what I do is I put it back in, and I take a cutter, and I go very, very slow across the top and just put like a mirror finish on it. And it also makes it flat. So what I'll do is I'll start, this is where the CNC comes in to be very handy. I can start this, and if it takes 5 minutes to work across the surface, I can go over and sand squares, or I can go to my milling machine. And that's where having both pieces of equipment at home really help.
Yes.
So I'll get this dead flat. Then so you order a 6-inch square. I will take, it's basically just looks like a small saw blade, like a circular saw blade, and I'll cut that slot for the for the square. For the blade to go.
Right.
So that's set. And then I will I'll put the logo in. And then so the wood inlays I cut on the CNC too, because there's kind of a shape to it. I don't know.
Okay.
There's a little bit of a curve that follows that. So what I'll do is I'll take a block like this. This is bloodwood. And I will usually, this hasn't been cut on the other side. I'll cut this side. I'll flip it over. I'll cut the other side. And then I rip it. I rip those we'll call them scales or inlays. I rip them off in the bandsaw.
Right.
So now they're jagged. I machine this fixture. And what that does is that holds a bunch of inlays dead flat. Because what I found is a chunk of wood that big and about 1/4 of an inch thick likes to go projectile when I send it through my drum sander. Mm-hmm. So what I used to do is I used to double stick tape it to a block of wood or a piece of metal, and that kept it from moving. But carpet tape sometimes holds too well. And then I've got a residue to get off. So what I did is I cut a bunch of pockets into this plate, and then I can load it up and I just send it through the drum sander.
Oh, that was, wow, that's awesome.
So I get it to where it's about a 64th proud of the square blank. I epoxy it in, and then the next day I take it by hand. I have, this is a granite surface plate. It's a piece of granite that's just ground dead flat. And I have self-adhesive sandpaper that's on it. And I just sand everything to where it's dead flat. So with the brass ones, there's no transition. You should feel nothing. It feels like one piece. With the steel, I inset the wood just a little bit, because you can't, once this is blued, you can't sand that because the bluing will go away. Yeah. So it almost gives you like a register for where your fingers go. You almost have a grip.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
That's the difference. Then I Danish oil the wood. I let it sit overnight. Also, on the brass ones, I take black lacquer and I drop black lacquer into the logo area to make it pop. And then I'll sand it once more very lightly, and then I go over the whole thing with paste wax. Well, before I do the paste wax, though, I have to calibrate it, because these, even though everything's set up on the machine and everything's perfect, sometimes it's not. Sometimes the ruler is a little off. So what I do is this big metal cylinder right here, this is on another surface plate that I don't sand on. This one is like there's a certain flatness it has. And what I do is you put the square against the cylinder. The cylinder's face is ground to within, I think it's like 1/10,000th of an inch over the entire length. So what I have is I have a tolerance that I set, and it's basically the square is to be square for 1,000. It can be out 1,000ths for every inch. So over the span of 12 inches, it can be out 12,000ths. I've never made a square to me that bad. Everything is usually held within a 1/2,000th of an inch. But what I do is I'll put this against the cylinder square, and I can check it with feeler gauges. And if a 3,000ths feeler won't go in, I know it's met my tolerance. It's within a 1/2,000ths. And then if not, I can manipulate it a little bit on the sanding surface plate. So I try to hold it as accurate as possible. Right. I have to have a standard that I say I do, but I always exceed that easily. So, but that's how That's how the brass ones are made. The steel ones are pretty much the same, except they get the bluing process with a gun blue.
Is the block that cylinder's mounted in, is that made out of granite or something?
Yeah, it's a granite surface plate, and it's flat to within, I think, 50 millionths or some ungodly, uncheckable amount. And that's the cheap one. You can spend ungodly amounts to get more accurate ones, which if you're doing aerospace or, you know, controlled climate, you want that. But for a woodworker square and a machinist square, that's pretty accurate.
You know, I like how when you were talking about it, I like how you said that even when you cut metal, people sometimes have a misnomer about metal that it doesn't move like wood does. People always say, well, when I did this the other day, it was like, you know, wood moves constantly. Metal does also, and a lot of people don't realize that. As a machinist, you know that, but most normal people don't know that when you cut a piece of metal on one side, it actually can have a bow or a move in the metal just by cutting that one side off of it.
Yeah, there's tensions in the metal, just like there would, not necessarily a wood grain, but if you say you go and rip a 2x4 and you get it pinch or it you know, bends or does whatever or goes wonky, steel will do the same things. Because actually, this is actually Gib Clark's brand. This is a branding iron I just finished, and I like to use these are made out of steel. A lot of guys use brass, but I just prefer steel myself. It's just a little more durable. For the smaller ones, I will use brass, but I use what's called hot rolled steel. And for years and years, hot rolled steel was frowned upon because it was just kind of a junk steel. You'd hear machinists that would machine into it and they'd hit like a ball bearing, or you could see the outline of a bolt because all the garbage was just thrown in. But with a hot rolled steel, when you heat this with a torch, it doesn't move. I've tried to make these out of nicer cold rolled steel, and when you heat it, there's pressure and there's tensions in there because it was cold formed, and it causes it to move. And I've had them warp, and if this thing warps hardly at all, you don't get a nice even mark.
Right.
So, but
exactly. Yeah, there's the wood and the metal, like I said, it has similarities. I always thought that was fascinating. The reason I know that is because I dealt with enough when I've built race cars, you know, in my life. And so building race cars, we had to deal with that sometimes too. When we'd cut through a frame and think that we were going to cut in a certain way to put another bracket or something on there, we'd cut it and come back the next day and the bracket wouldn't fit. Overnight, when that metal cooled, it actually moved.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the heck? How in the hell did that happen? You know? So that's how I got to know more about it and it moving and everything. Anybody on the panel got any questions?
Yeah, I got a quick one. When you do the branding irons, excuse me, when you do the branding irons, do you start with camera ready art like a printer would, or you just take someone's logo off their website and print it out and work from that? Or
yeah, usually what someone will do, Chris, is they'll email me their logo, and I can take any format really. I bring it into Illustrator as long as it's high resolution, because what it has to do is I go in and it'll trace the lines of the logo, and I turn it into what's called a DXF, which is a CAD format. It's a two-dimensional CAD format. Then I can bring it into my CAM software and size it down and essentially program what I'm going to use for certain cutters, speeds and feeds. You know, a lot of times people will give me a painting of the Sistine Chapel and they want it to go inside of a quarter, and that's a battle that I constantly have is seeing how small I can get it, but it's still legible, you know, and you can read it. So
actually, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. I want to get a branding iron made with the SWC for Simply Wooden Creations in it, but I want it like I make some small projects, so that SWC has to be down within like a 1/2 of an inch in diameter in a circle.
See, your logo is simple enough on that one that I think you could go that small.
Okay.
Okay. It's when people have writing and they and all the font, you know, like it just popped up behind your head, the Rockler, it has all those points to it, and the letters practically touch, and that's all stuff I have to do. I have to go in and
right.
You don't notice it, but I have to separate those letters just a smidgen to get everything to so the cutters can get in and remove material. So when you hit that with the iron, it doesn't just become this black blob on your work.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, I have the wooden CNC, and it's basically the same thing. People show me something and say, well, hey, you can make this. And I'm like, whoa, wait just a second. There comes a point when it comes so small. A friend of mine that's fixing to retire, some of the other friends, he has a nice gun, and they're wanting to get the butt of the gun from him, or get the gun, and I don't know how they're going to do this, but away from him, and get the butt and let me engrave with my CNC into the wood on the butt. Well, first off, there comes a problem because the butt's not flat. It's, kind of concave, so to speak. So that's going to be one of the problems. And the next problem, the stuff that they were showing me they wanted on here is like, it would take like a jeweler's engraver type tool to make that stuff that small. I'm like, I can't do it. It's just like way too small. I've got bits that are small, but that's just. And then when they showed me the picture, well, this is what we're looking at. I looked at it and started laughing there. So what's the matter? That wasn't done with a CNC. That's a laser. That's the reason that's so intricate. They did that with a laser. So
yeah, the lasers, you can, I mean, the kerf on them is tiny, so you can get pretty intricate with them. So
yeah, they saw the design, wanted me to recreate it, and then when they showed me the picture finally, I was like, there's no way that was done with a laser. I can't get it that small.
Yeah, and then the laser would actually have no problem going over the curve, but I know what you mean. You'd almost have to do it in minute sections and keep adjusting your depth.
It could be done on my CNC, and it would just take a lot of making sure Vectric and the Aspire will do that. It's just, it would take a lot of bit, but what they were wanting was way beyond too small for what I wanted to try to tackle, and what I would think that even the CNC would be able to do. They were looking at a laser thing.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, Russ wants the brand the head of a toothpick. No, I don't, Paul John's life. I just want it down to about I make a lot of small scroll saw projects. I don't have anything small here. So I want something that needs to be like down to about 1/2 an inch so I can brand the back of them. When you're making a wooden plaque that's only 6 inches long, the letters are only 1.5 inches tall, and they're only maybe 1/2 inch thick. You don't have a lot of room to brand something. So, I want something kind of small to be able to brand it. And I was hoping, like you said, that my SWC would be small enough that maybe we could work something out, because I will be talking with you about that.
Sure.
Any more questions? Yeah, and somebody put Al put laser. Yeah, lasers on sharks. Is that where that came from? Lasers on sharks. Laser. There it is. Paul St. John's life just put sharks engraving with lasers. Oh yeah, that was one of my.
Yes, it sounds like what you want is about the size of a dime. Is that what? Is that?
Yeah.
Kinda?
Yeah, but I just want the SWC, so it's really, it's not complicated. Simply Wooden Creations SWC. So that's what I want, and I want it to be round, and I want it to be the SWC with a circle around it. So
I've got a solution. Just change your logo to a dime and then use a dime.
Yeah.
Better work. Laser.
Lasers. Yeah. You're making me think of it, and I can't even think of the dang movie that it was in now. What was the name of the movie?
Austin Powers.
Yeah, Austin Powers, but which one? It was.
Does it matter, Russ, at this point?
Well, Austin Powers. I actually.
These guys have you so flustered right now.
The first one of those movies that I saw, I actually enjoyed it and was laughing my butt off the whole way through it. And so I watched all of. Actually, I have all of them on DVD. So,
The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Yeah, The Spy Who Shagged Me was one of them.
Man of intrigue.
Yep.
Hey, so Tony, Paul Granger's out in the chat, and I was going to ask you this too, but what about the slip and slide party? You want to talk about that for a little bit? I saw some videos of that from last year, and I thought that was just cool.
I live in upstate New York. I live about an hour north of Albany, New York, by a small city called Saratoga Springs. I'm right on the lower edge of the Adirondacks. In about 5 or 6 summers ago, my wife Mackenzie has 3 children, and I was trying to think of something to do, and we have a nice side hill by our house, and I thought, well, maybe I'll get a piece of plastic and we'll make like a makeshift slip and slide. And I think it was 50 feet or 75 feet, and I got the hoses set up. And the kids had a great time, and the adults would go down and we would shoot off the plastic because we were going too fast. So naturally, I figured, well, let's just make the thing longer. And each year it got longer and longer, and now I think it's just over 250 feet,
Wow.
the slip and slide. Well, last year I decided to try to make it a maker meetup because a lot of people in the Facebook groups were interested in coming. I had Matt Haas came, Paul Desmond, Izzy came. He was coming through. I was lucky Izzy stayed with us. Jimmy DeResta came up, Keith Decent, just a lot of good guys, and it turned into more of a maker meetup than the slip and slide party. But this year we're doing it again, and a lot of people are going to come and camp, and I think it's going to be a really good time. It's July 21st. If anybody wants to stop, just give me a message. Come over. It's going to be a good time.
So that whole thing, that's like a function of weight, right? So how far did Izzy actually go off at the end of the slip and slide?
Izzy was having back problems last year, which
really?
He feels better, and he hinted that he was going to go down the slide. Matt Haas went pretty far. It's when the baby shampoo gets broken out. That's when things get a little crazy. The kids think it's fun, but the terminal velocity of an adult 200 and 300 pound male you get cooking pretty hard.
I've seen some of those. Oh, yeah. I don't know. See, from Boston to there, we're talking about 3 hours?
Yeah, it's probably 3.5.
3.5? Mm.
Yeah, I don't think my fat butt would even thinking about trying
Come on,
it.
Russ.
Just come and have a hot dog.
Yeah. Now I will admit, was it last year or year before last? Last year or year before last, my granddaughter was having a party over at their house. For one of the grandkids was having a party, and they got one of these big air slides. When I say big air slides, this thing was only like 20 foot off the ground. So one of these big air slides, and everybody, when I was at the party, dared me to go up there and come down, and I did. When the grandbabies thought that was about the coolest thing in the world. That Papa Russ was coming down the slide, and some of them got with me, and we rode down the slide. I've got a video of it. It was posted on Facebook, but it came down with them. But that wasn't that big of a 20-foot kids little slide come down. Yeah, that I can handle that. Oh, I ain't doing one of those like you're talking about that I saw Izzy and them, or not Izzy, but those two guys doing. That ain't no way. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed the next morning. Hell, you'd probably have to call.
You're sore the next day because everybody's always trying to talk about putting like foam down or matting, and I'm like, no, the soreness is the part of the experience. You know, it's not something you're doing every day. So
it's part of the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have to call after the first run. I probably have to go in an ambulance. So, what time are we working on? Where now? When you buy your steel, your brass, and stuff like that, do you buy them from a specific place that, or can anybody buy it from them, or is it like where the only machinists, you know what I'm saying, businesses or whatever can buy from?
You can do that. A lot of the stuff that I buy, like an 8-foot bar of brass, will make I think 20 or 24 squares. So I buy all my metal from onlinemetals.com, and it's reasonable. It's not as cheap as if you buy a 24-foot bar from a metal supplier, but most makers don't need that amount, and they have a really good selection. I can get different tool steels, I can get different brasses, and I'm actually right now I'm building an enclosure for my CNC, which actually I think I can turn this a little. That's the CNC right there. Wow. And what it has right now, it just has a backsplash along it. Well, the chips all come flying out, and Tormach, the company that makes it, sells an enclosure, but the enclosure's like $2,500, which it's a beautiful enclosure, but it's not worth
$2,500. It's beautiful.
The thing is probably I think it's going to end up costing me $600 in materials, and then I can just pick away at it and build it. So I've been ordering aluminum tubing from them, and the shipping is fairly reasonable for what you're getting. You know, you're getting an 8-foot piece of metal in the mail, and it's $20-$30. So
people are saying put a swimming pool at the bottom. Okay, put a swimming pool at the bottom. I might try it, but it's got to be a big pool because my big butt would displace a lot of water.
Yeah, everybody, like Jamie said, everybody says, "Oh, put the pool at the bottom with a ramp." Well, I'm the one that has to test it. And I know the first time I go down, I would clear that pool by a good 20 feet.
Yeah.
Bounce. So.
Yeah, by the way, Jamie, we're going to try to get you on the panel tonight. And the panel filled up. So sorry we couldn't let you come in here. And
Russ, if somebody else wants to come on, I'll be all right.
No, Katie. We were just talking about having Jamie is always trying to like smoochy with Tony. So
I think there is a
we have a spot. Russ Meadows dropped out.
Come on.
What happened to Russ Meadows?
Russ decided that he the weather and stuff was getting there bad. So
okay. Well, Jamie, Paige, we're winding down the end of the show, but we've got another little bit we can hang on there. Jamie, if you want on PM,
and you can tell him in person how handsome he is, not only how smart he is, like you were saying earlier.
So we've met and I've been molested by Jamie.
Oh my gosh!
Haven't we all?
Okay, be right there. Has somebody sent him the link?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey Tony, I had another question for you. Where do you think this whole tool thing is going to go for you?
Hold on, before we go there, remember that Jamie wants to make sure you drop the restraining order before he comes on.
Yeah, that's probably
we're free and clear.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I just wondered where he thinks the whole tool thing for him is going to go, and I'm going to try to confuse Jamie. So there's two Tonys. I don't know which one he's looking at.
There you are, JP. There he is.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
How you doing? I'm all good. Well, hello, Tony.
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm all good.
You know, he's so sexually flustered that all he can say is, "I'm all good. I'm all good."
Yeah, I'm going red in the cheeks.
It just got awkward in here.
Yeah.
No, I understand what Jim was saying. Is where do you see that we're going? Or you? All right, I'm going to ask the big question. are you hoping it leads to the point that you're doing well enough that you can have your own place and or your own shop and do your own thing for a living, so to speak? Or are you?
I don't know. The main problem, and it's a good problem, is I enjoy what I do. I like my job, and I have good benefits. I'm paid decent. And the thought of having to produce 200 block planes a month to support my family it doesn't intrigue me. I'd rather, like, the branding irons and the squares. Granted, a lot of it goes back in the business, but some of it helps pay for Christmas. It's allowed us to come down to Atlanta to see makers and stuff. And right now, that's where I want it to stay. I want it to stay part-time. And it like I said, it fuels this stuff. I would like to get into making more tools. So I don't know if that means eventually retiring some tools or making, for 6 months out of the year, all I make are squares. And then like, I want to come out with a bevel gauge. I want to do one of those. There's talks. I would love to do like a full-blown smoothing plane, but that takes a lot of time to develop. And it's right now I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. But who knows, in 10 years, different things change. In theory, my house should be paid for. Lots of things like that, anything can change, but maybe that's something I can retire early and do. If I can have enough, by then equipment will be paid for. A lot of this stuff will last my lifetime. Some of it will wear out and need to be replaced, but a lot of the bigger pieces of equipment, if they're maintained, should last me the rest of my life. So, it's a heavy burden up front, but once it's all paid for, I should be able to turn a good profit. But like I said, it's a small place where I work. I enjoy what I do, and it's good people that I work with.
So when are you going to start making scroll saws?
Scroll saws?
I thought I'd watched your videos and I'd read some, whatever you post and stuff about you. So I kind of had an idea about you, but I did not know this. For some reason, I did not know the scroll saw thing. I didn't know you at 13 you had a scroll saw. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did a lot of intarsia when I was in my 20s. And I think I got burned out on it. I did a lot of it, and I did a lot of it for a lot of people. And I did it cheap because, and I think that kind of, spoiled me on it. But I mean, when I cut the inlay, the infill for the block plane, I used my scroll saw, which that reminds me, I need some professional advice from you guys. What do you recommend for a blade for cutting thick exotic hardwoods? What would you recommend?
First off, when you say thick, how thick? Because a scroll saw will only cut 1.5 inches.
Yeah, I know. This is about 1.25 inches.
Okay. All right. I would recommend, and you're talking about hardwoods, I would recommend a skip tooth blade, especially since you're sanding all the pieces and putting them in, so you're not worried about. It's not like fretwork where you have to worry about. I'm cutting 1/2 inch thick and worry about it smooth on the top and the bottom. So I would recommend a skip tooth blade. And you want it, I would say the ones from, I think Bearwood Supply, there was the Pegasus. Yeah, the Pegasus, I think they have a skip tooth blade in Pegasus. And those are, really nicely ground. If Bearwoods doesn't, and I'm pretty sure they do, the other one would be the next in line of the best blades would be the Flying Dutchman skip tooth.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, because like somebody said in the chat, the bandsaw, and the bandsaw is a little too aggressive for what I'm doing. No. Usually what I'll do is I'll leave a 16th or a 32nd on. I glue the inlay in, and then I pin it. I don't know if you can see there's a dowel pin.
Yeah.
That pins it, and then I use the oscillating. I have an oscillating drum sander
Yes.
I sand everything smooth, and then I just go to town with hand
Well,
sanding.
the reason I'm saying skip tooth is because hardwoods are you could try a reverse tooth, but hardwoods are unique in the fact that when you go through them, the blade it's not unlike any other blade, including your bandsaw. When the blade goes through, it needs to clear the sawdust in and out in order for it to cut and cut good. So when you're dealing with hardwoods, you're looking at the same thing. So if you're not worried about the finish cut, so to speak, because you're going to end up taking your sand or your spindle sander and everything else and sanding it off, then I would suggest the skip tooth, because that's going to give you a faster cutting, cleaner cutting as far as with the getting rid of the sawdust and the wood in between it, and then you can just put it on your sander and sand the rest of it out.
Yeah, that's, and some of the, like the Cocobolo and Purple Heart and stuff like that are very, they're like cutting rock, but I just used the standard, like number 5 blade, but I needed something. I was hoping I'd find something a little more aggressive.
I think you go to number 7, can't you?
I think a 3 or a 5 for what I'm looking at, what he's talking about cutting, a 3 or 5. I don't think you needed to go as big as a 7, a 3 or a 5. I would start off with the 5 and see how it cuts, and then you could increase it up or lower it down. I personally have found out that sometimes the 3 does a better job cutting than the 5, and the reason being the blade is a little bit smaller and it doesn't have to clear out as much when it cuts.
Yes. I gotcha. Yeah.
So a 3 or a 5, from what I'm looking at what you're cutting, should be fine. I cut through with 1.5 inch 2x4s all the time, but now that's spruce or pine, but I'm using a reverse tooth. So the skip tooth would be good for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, James Parker said ultra reverse. I disagree with ultra reverse when you get into those really, like he's saying, those really, really hard woods. Ultra reverse does a fantastic job. I cut mahogany with it. I cut cherry with it. I have cut walnut with it, but they're not as hard as what some of the stuff he's talking about cutting through. So Jeff Robinson said number 5 through 7 MGT. That's these Pegasus blades. Yeah, what he's cutting is way too small for a bandsaw. Tom Spillane wants to, Jamie, for you, I think he wants you, how you pronounce aluminum.
The right way. Aluminium.
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 Jeff Robinson, Tom Spillane's out there, James Parker. Appreciate you guys all being out there in the chat. Looking back through and seeing who we've all had. Paul John's life, and I did talk to him. He did get his thing. He never posted where he got it or whatever. The screwdriver toolkit I gave away 2 of them that one night, and I emailed him, and he says, "Oh yeah, I got it. I'm like, well, okay, I'm glad you got it. I know Ken Moon got his, but Paul Granger, thank you for being out there. I think he's a newbie. I don't think I've seen Dickinson Hoffman's been out there. All you guys, thank you for being over in the chat, and I'm sorry if I missed Ken McCrory. I know he's out there almost every week. Thank you for being there, Ken, out there in the chat. All right, guys. Anybody on the panel have any questions? Jamie, you just got here. You got any questions to ask him?
Plenty, but I think they're all rated.
This could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Mute button. Yeah, I've got a question.
James Parker says, I found a pic of you, and I'm going to scroll saw it, Russ, and bring it to Rocklear. Okay, James. That's cool. I appreciate that. Dickinson Hoffman, another good show. Thank you.
There's a message for you on the inside chat, Russ.
The ball.
Oh yeah, the Ken's Bowl. Yeah. All right. So last week, and I'm glad you brought that up. Was it Brenda? Thank you, Brenda. Last week, Ken said we were going to give the bowl away. That Purple Heart bowl that he was had made on the show, and so we had. Give me a second. I'm going to look over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We had 16 people that had emailed me about Ken's bowl that wanted to receive it.
So every one of them get a bowl?
Huh?
Every one of them's going to get a bowl?
No.
It's like Oprah.
We had
That'll teach Ken for not being here.
Yeah.
Does Ken know about this?
But we had 16 people, 16 entries, in other words, in for the bowl. So I think now one of the things he didn't say at that night, and I'm sorry he did not say that, but a couple of the entries are going to be disqualified due to the fact that he can't ship it overseas. He hasn't got that much money to be able to ship it to over the sea. So it's going to have to be. And we should have said that night, and it's partially my fault too for not reminding everybody that it's only in the lower 40, so to speak, inside the U.S. of A. So what we're going to do is, let me go back. I think these are, I know at least one of them. I'll tell you what. There's only one of them I see here that might be outside the U.S. of A. And if Ken has a problem with it, I'll pitch him in a couple of bucks to
$2.
Yeah, I'll give him a couple of bucks to send.
$2.
Yeah, so let me go back and look one more time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
He's practiced that all week.
Since y'all have no idea as to who is those numbers, I'm going to put it all on my good friend, Miss Katie.
What?
Katie.
Katie, pick a number between 1 and 16.
7.
7. You want number 7. All right. So
who is it? Because if I don't like them, I'll change.
So let me go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my God. You got to pick another number.
Oh no.
Who is it?
Because I've already tried sending this guy something and he never gets it.
Oh man. Okay.
It's the FedEx guy.
No, it's not the FedEx guy. It's
14.
Marcoux.
14.
It's Michelle.
Yeah, it's him. He won the bowl, but I don't have a problem with paying the extra postage. I just hope he gets the darn thing. Here, let me go over here and screen share. I've got it over here on my computer. I think it's the first thing that's going to pop up. Yeah, it's like, I hate doing this because I sent him a package and he never got it. Where's
what was in the package?
Screen share. All right, hold on. Let's. I can only do one thing at a time, so let me take care of this first.
So everybody say something to Russ now.
You see, can y'all see the names?
Yep.
Yep.
She said 7, right? 1,
Yes.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No, I can't really see it too well.
Y'all see that?
Yes.
Oh, Michelle's out in the chat. Hang on.
I know he is.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Make it bigger.
What did you do? Ship it FedEx or what?
Yeah, I shipped it FedEx. You're right. Actually, I sent it UPS or United States Postal Service.
USPS.
Yeah.
I say we just disqualified Michelle. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, we're gonna do. There, he goes my luck again. He goes, darn. There goes my luck again. All right. We're gonna do our best to get you the ball, and All right. I used to butcher his name. So it's been a month or so ago, probably more.
Probably butchered his address too.
Yeah. Oh, Katie. Anyway, and I told him one night that I said, because I messed up your name, when I finally figured out what his name was, that I was going to send him. Well, I got the sponsors to send me a few things, and I was packaged them up and sent them to him. He's never got them. I have tracking and everything else, and they have no idea what's happened to it. And I've been working on this thing for over a month, and I'm throwing my hands up. The last time I went to the post office and talked to the lady, I've called the number 1-800 number, but they said, we don't know. We can track it to, I think it was customs or whatever it was over there, but that's as far as it goes. So we don't know. So anyway, my point is, I come up with this idea, what I told y'all earlier about, it was just easier to get a Visa gift card, put it in a regular envelope like you were sending somebody a letter, and mailing it to them, even if you have to put the extra stamp for the little extra weight for it. And then they at least would get a Visa gift card, because most countries accept a Visa gift card, and then he could use that to buy something. So that's what I'm going to send Michelle for my part, is I'm just going to send him a Visa gift card. It don't have to go through customs or anything else. It can go right as a letter that I'm mailing him a letter and go right through. So
whereabouts is it he lives, Russ?
He's in Canada.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I believe he's in Canada. So I don't know. I don't know what. Yeah, he says he's never got it, and so I don't know what happened to it. So, and it's not that big of a deal, other than it's it's a pain. And I know packages get lost, and yes, I understand that, but it's just kind of a pain in the butt when it happens. So, but I have changed my mind about some of my thinking about some of the giveaways that I'm going to have in the future, as far as if I want to get the people from internationally to enter it, about doing that, to saying, if you're international, you're not going to get a prize, you're going to get this, so to speak, if you win. And that is, get them a $20, $25 gift card, a Visa gift card, or a MasterCard or American Express, and send it in just a regular envelope like you're sending them a letter, and then that'll resolve a lot of the problems, I have a feeling. So anybody else have? I mean, to me, that sounds about that. As soon as somebody told me that,
if they have a PayPal, you can do it that way.
Yeah, if they have a PayPal, you can do it PayPal, but some of these people don't have PayPal. Matter of fact, I never did ask. Do you, Michelle? Do you have a PayPal
or Amazon?
I never did think about asking him about the PayPal. Katie, thank you.
I don't think you can send bowls via that.
Yeah, I don't think you can send bowls by that. No. I believe you're right about that, but
you can send them on BowlPal.
Yeah, see, he has no PayPal, so I'll just have to send him.
That's no problem.
Yeah, as Paul John's Life said, send him a Lowe's gift card. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'll send him a Lowe's gift card. I'm sure they have Lowe's in Canada. Oops, I got a PayPal account. Dude, do you or not have one? Jeez. So anyway, well, let's go back. Anybody have any more questions? Anybody out there in the chat have any more questions for Tony? And anybody on the panel have any more questions for Tony? Because we're winding down and going to get the heck out of here.
Yeah, you got to do workshop confession.
Yes, midnight workshop confession.
Yeah, they all want a workshop confession. All right, so Michelle said he has one. Oh, I do have one. Okay, well, then I can send it to you PayPal, dude. So we'll talk about that later after the show's over. So, Tony, you know what Woodshop Confessions is on the show?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, it's
You're about to find out.
We want.
I'm a little nervous with Jamie in here, so.
Jamie's got one too, by the way.
Yeah, it's what did you and Jamie? Never mind. It's what is the dumbest thing that you did in your shop And after you did it, you thought to yourself, what the heck did I do that for? You know, it's just like, for instance, I'll give you one of mine one day. I had a piece of wood in my hand, and I was going to nail the two pieces of wood together, and the two pieces of wood were only an inch or 3/4 of an inch thick, and I had 1 1/4 brad nails. So when I nailed it and was holding it in my hand, it went through. Yeah, and it hurt like hell. So what's one of those dumb things that you did in your shop that afterwards you went like, why the heck did I do that? That's going to be funny.
I gotta think.
It's preferably something that requires a tetanus shot.
Yeah.
Russ,
or at least a couple stitches.
Didn't you get a limb stuck in your finger here a few weeks back?
That was a tree limb.
Yeah.
It's like a stove wood.
Yeah, that was a damn tree limb. That wasn't a splinter. That was a damn tree. I had to go with the doctor and have it cut out. It was so big.
The doctor's still laughing about that.
You came in here. He went, you came in for this? Go on, Tony. You can't think of anything you've done?
No, I got one from a couple weeks ago, but I wasn't maimed in it. But it was.
All right, well.
So we have a goldfish pond in our backyard, and I have a hose that's kind of like buried under the grass that I fill it up because as water evaporates, I top it off every so often. And I turned it on. I was downstairs working. I went upstairs. I turned it on, and my wife's father was here. So I sat and visited with them for about an hour. And
oh no.
Yeah. So I went. We were supposed to go. It was Mother's Day, so we were supposed to go to her mom's for dinner. So I had to go back downstairs and work on squares or something. And I was just kind of
There
burnt
were
out.
no animals killed in this, right?
No. So I'm pissing and moaning about having to go downstairs, and I'm like, I just had to measure something for God knows what. Well, I come downstairs and there's water moving under my miter saw, like not just like a puddle of water, there's water moving. So I realized that something's wrong with the hose. So I run upstairs and I run outside, go to the back door, and there's water pouring between the siding and like the OSB sheeting in the house, just pouring out by the faucet. So I realized that I haven't turned that faucet on since wintertime. Well, it must have froze and cracked somewhere inside the wall. So I shut that off, and I had my shop floor isn't very level, but I had it was about 1.5 inches in one spot. I ended up vacuuming out over 100 gallons of water.
Wow.
And I've been running the dehumidifier like nonstop for the past. I'm finally caught up where all the little puddles have dried out, but luckily all my stuff is up on feet, so nothing really got damaged. But it was not fun.
And all because you forgot to go check and make sure it was.
Well, that was the thing is I said to Mackenzie, I was like, what if we had went to dinner and this had gone for hours? We would have come home and there would have been water coming out of my shop doors.
Yeah. That wouldn't have been good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to say, bless you, my child, that no more water damage will be in your house forevermore.
Yeah.
People are out there going like, why did Tom Spillane go, holy crud, Russ?
Yeah, Jamie said he had a confession as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
Me. Well, unlike Tony, this one damn near did make me. I'm actually in the process of making something for Al's Hack Shack from the Fools with Tools podcast. And so I chucked up a piece of wood on my lathe, and it's damn near the full size of length that my lathe can take. So I'd already roughed it out at this point, So all the bark is off the log. It's about 3 inches, maybe 4 inches round, and I'm going to say 12 inches long. And I start spinning it, and obviously I've brought up the tail stock, tightened up the hand wheel, and started spinning it. Obviously got a face shield on because that's what you do when you're turning. Well, as it's getting closer and closer to the round, I'm turning up the lathe faster and faster. Well, as the lathe's getting faster and faster and going up full speed, all of a sudden the log got straight off the lathe, and it's gone whack, cracked me straight in the face. But it's kind of hit me in the chest and rolled up my face shield and hit me in the chin. Now, what's actually happened is where I've done up the hand wheel, I haven't actually done up the barrel lock, and the barrel has actually come back out.
Oh
so God. Where I've actually been taking it away, it's actually just gone, and it's just where it was between centres. So that's where it damn near made me.
You did get a video on that.
Luckily, it weren't too bad. My chest still hurts a little bit because that's where I caught the brunt of it. But yeah, it just basically rolled up and went under my face shield. Wow. Caught me there. So I got quite lucky.
Well, bless you. We won't have any more accidents.
Yeah. Lucky it weren't a Cole Jacobson size lathe.
Hey, did you get invited to the wedding, by the way?
No, I didn't. After what I've done to that queen, I don't think I'll be invited to any more parties.
I was looking through the crowd to see if you were there.
No, there was a few comments, joke comments about that.
A lot of people went like, "I ain't watching that wedding," and blah 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 blah. I was like making some rude comments I seen on Facebook and other places, and I'm like, I didn't sit down there and watch the whole damn thing, but there was my wife had it on and she was watching it, and when I walked through the room, there were some interesting points, and I wouldn't stop there and watch it and look at it. That was like, I don't think there was anything. I mean, it's a royal wedding. I think
it's kind of funny because there was mixed emotions over in the UK about it, because the royal wedding the same day as what's called the FA Cup final, which is like one of the biggest sport. It's kind of like the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right. Over here, and it's tradition for the royal family to present the winners of the FA Cup with the trophy. Now, obviously, all the royal family are going to be at the wedding.
So, yeah, I just thought there was a lot of rude comments on Facebook. Are you watching? I ain't watching the damn wedding, and some stuff that was said, and I'm like, come on, give me a break. It's not that big of a deal.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch all of it. I watched a couple of segments of it, but what
I did was, like, my wife works at home and she has a TV in her office. When I go in her office, she'd have it on. I'd stand there and watch it for a few minutes. She watched the whole thing, and was like, So when I walked through there, I think at one point I watched Harry and what's his brother,
William.
Harry and William. One of the parts I watched was Harry and William when they got there and got out of the car and walked up to the chapel, talking to each other, and inside the chapel and everything. I watched that part, and there was a few others. So I thought it was pretty doggone cool,
Yeah.
I scroll back and I haven't moved it. I just wanted to say Becky's Texas Wood Shop. This is what she put over there. Becky, I like you a lot. After tonight, I don't know if I want to let you back in the chat. She goes, send him a Lowe's gift card via FedEx.
Go, Becky.
Yeah, Becky.
I guess that's saying to Michelle, send him a Lowe's gift card by FedEx. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate that very, very, very much.
Well, there's a new seat in the outside chat now.
Yep. All right, guys. We're kind of getting out of here. If y'all won't have any more questions, we had a fantastic time with Tony on here, and we pulled some shenanigans and had a good time. Now we gave away I'll get with if the I will compensate
whatever his name is.
I will compensate Ken I will compensate Ken for any of the extra postage that it takes to get it up there to Canada. And we're going to try that part one more time. As far as me, I'm going to send you like a Visa gift card up there. And I'm going to try that. I think that's the easiest way. But I will compensate Ken for any of the postage if he wants me to without any problem. Send you that bowl. So that was pretty cool. I was sitting there going like, well, there's only one person on the list, and guess who it was? Michelle. She said 7, and he was number 7. Jeez. I guess the bowl was destined to be yours. That's all I can say.
What?
It's Katie's fault.
It was Katie's responsibility. Anyway, Tony, you got anything last to say? I appreciate you being on. Man, this has been so fantastic. We've learned a lot seeing all those tools you make. And I want to tell you, I got to see that one tool that one time, and then I'm looking forward to getting the one you're making for me. So I just want to tell you there, I think you're doing an outstanding job, and I hope it continues to grow for you. I mean, I really do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, and it was nice meeting you guys, people that I haven't met, and it was I'm sure Jamie will be sending me sweet nothings after the call. So.
Already typing one out now.
Yeah, but not just because of the show.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else got anything? Tom Spillane says, thank you, Tony. Awesome show, Russ. A bunch of the thumbs up goes to you. I appreciate everybody. So, all right, there's only one thing we got left to do before I say goodnight, and that is
Sing it.
Do what?
Sing it, Russ.
Sing. I'm supposed to sing? Really?
Sing it, Russ.
All right. So just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching. And
Good night, campers. Adios. Remember, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Good night, y'all.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.